have you guys join us today. We are diving in today into Rooted and Rising, how women entrepreneurs are changing the game. And we have got the women who are changing the game here in the circle. These are some of our speakers that are going to be with us at the Extraordinary Women Ignite conference this November 6th through 8th. And, you guys, if you follow me at all, I do these roundtables about every other month. And I love doing roundtables because they're rich conversations about topics that are really pertinent to our time right now. And so they're a lot of fun. But this is the first time I've done this with all of our Ignite speakers. And so we've got this one coming up now, and then we've got the one coming up later in October with another group of our speakers. And it's just really going to be a fun conversation and a needed conversation, because right now I think things are shifting and changing as we sit here. Things are shifting and changing around us. And I think this is a room full of wisdom that's going to really help you think through how you're addressing meeting the marketplace where it is right now, how you're really taking your voice up in the world. I believe that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs. It's right now, our voices, we've all been called into the places that we're in, into the work that we're in, so that we can lead and make a difference with our work. And I believe that with all of my heart. And so my mission is really about raising up the voices of 1 million women around the world. I've been on that mission for a long time, and I feel like I'm getting there. I feel like I'm making that ripple effect, and I love it. So we are going, let me talk a little bit about Ignite just real quick. So Ignite is one of the longest standing conferences for women in North America. So we've been doing this 11 years this year. And it's a place that you really want to be. It's a place where we are talking about things that are business matters that are right now. And we are going to be diving in. We're going to be rolling up your sleeves of what your voice is and how it really matters. So today, we're going to be talking about what's shifting and how women are growing their businesses right now, and doing it in a way that's aligned to who they are. We're going to talk about leading from your inner wisdom, and not from the noise, and not with the urgency around us, but really leading from that wisdom that's within. We're going to talk about embodying your presence and your message, so that that message only you can own, and what it looks like to unhook from all the old ways of building businesses. So we've got an amazing room here. Let me introduce you to our panel. First up, we have Jenn Beninger. Jenn is the CEO of Genius Unlocked and a master at helping people unlock their true genius. With 16 master coaching certifications and a psychology degree, Jenn blends science, intuition, and unconscious reprogramming to create rapid, lasting transformation. She's led her company to a 7-figure success through referrals alone, all while overcoming breast cancer, betrayal, and burnout. A 3-time bestseller author and Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Jenn's been featured on NBC, CBS, USA Today, and more. Whether she's skydiving, that's a crazy one. Whether she's skydiving or coaching, she embodies resilience and authenticity, inspiring audiences to break through limits and live boldly, fully, and fearlessly. Next up, we have, and welcome, Jenn. I'm excited you're going to be joining us.
Excited to be here as well.
Yeah. Next up, we have Neeli Clute. Neeli is a neuro leadership speaker and brain health ambassador who helps high-performing professionals optimize their mental bandwidth through neuroscience-based strategies. As the founder of Agile Intelligent and Intellect, she guides clients to designing sustainable systems that enhance cognitive performance while preventing mental decline. Now, her degrees, I got to read these because normally I don't go through the degrees, but when you read Neeli's bio, you've got to read her degrees, because she's got an advanced degrees from Johns Hopkins University in mind, brain, and teaching. She's got a University of Maryland College Park neurobiology and physiology, and UNC Chapel Hill secondary science education. Neeli bridges cutting-edge neuroscience with practical applications. That's a lot of wisdom there.
Awesome.
Yeah, and before launching Agile Intellect, Neeli excelled as a neurobiology researcher, award-winning educator, and professional development expert. Neeli is an empty nester, travels worldwide. In fact, she's in her van today up in Alaska joining us, where she was watching bears yesterday, and loves her home in Denver. Next up, welcome, Neeli. I'm thrilled you're here with us.
Thank you.
I've been wanting Neeli to be on the Ignite stage for years, so I'm thrilled. I'm super thrilled. Michelle Fournier is the ultimate possibilitarian. I love that word. An award-winning intuitive mindset empowerment coach, Michelle uses her life experiences, including 24 years as an Army nurse who jumped out of perfectly good airplanes. Another one jumping out of planes. Look at this. You guys aren't getting me to go there. To inspire women to free their authentic badass and live a life by design. She guides high-achieving women who feel unfulfilled and crave change, but lack direction to live authentically and on purpose without apology. Co-creator of Luxury Piss Off Perfect Retreats, Michelle uses a proven system to eliminate self-sabotage and accelerate success. She lives with her husband and loves to play golf in tropical settings. Welcome, Michelle. And next we have Emily Wishall, who helps women step off the sidelines of their lives and embody unshakable confidence, radiant presence, and bold aliveness right now. Through her signature holistic method, fusing embodiment, posture, presence, and energetic alignment, Emily empowers women to own their confidence, build strength, and reconnect with their sensuality. She is the author of Radical Embodiment, a practical guide to celebrating the skin you're in, an embodiment coach, certified author, and speaker. Emily's on a mission to challenge the outdated belief that a woman's worth is tied to her appearance and ignite a new paradigm, women fully owning their bodies, voices, and leadership. Who is excited to hear from these women? Let's hear from you in the chat box. As you guys are logging on, I would love to hear, where you're joining us from. So just drop into the chat box where you're joining us from, what you do, to give us a little bit of information. We've got such a wonderful room of women here to be learning from, and I'm excited to dive in. So drop into the chat box. Let's hear from you guys. As we start to dive in today, one of the things I want you to do, if you are hearing something that really resonates for you, drop into the chat golden nugget. It's a good way just to know what's really resonating, what's lining up for you guys. And so this is keep the chat box active and going. I see some great people joining from all across the US here. So I love that. And let's dive in and with this first question. And I'm just going to follow you guys as I see you on the screen right now, and then we'll mix it up throughout. I'm going to start with this first question of what shifts are you seeing in how women grow successful businesses, and how are you evolving your strategy in response? Jenn, why don't you kick us off?
Great. I love that question. And one of the main shifts that I've been seeing, I've been a full-time entrepreneur since, how old is my oldest daughter? So about 23 years, a few decades, I've been a full-time entrepreneur. I came from corporate America. I live in Northern California, and I live in the Silicon Valley. And I've watched a lot of things happen especially with women over business before the pandemic. And then after the pandemic, I saw a massive paradigm shift with people realizing that they actually have a genius, that they actually can step out into the world, because we were all kind of like reset during the pandemic, 5 years ago. And so that was one of the biggest shifts that I've seen. And I saw it in my own business. I saw it with the women clients that I work with, as well as the peers, like these wonderful ladies that I'm very honored to share the stage with. Is I've seen that shift where they start to come out of their shell. They realize that, wait, I have value. I am worthy. I am deserving. I have value. I have a genius inside of me that I get to share with the world. So that was one of the first shifts that I saw. The second shift that I've seen lately is in the context of wealth. Where we start realizing as women that we do deserve to get paid for the value of what we're worth. We are nature, and I will go to Neeli a little bit. I do have a psychology degree, but nowhere near where she talks about in the neurological side of this. We're natural nurturers, and we don't put ourselves first very often. And there is a lot of, and you're all free from all of this. This is just one of the shifts that I've seen. There's a lot of guilt, maybe some shame, maybe some I'm not deserving, maybe I'm not worthy to step out and be the forefront. And now in the context of wealth, understanding that we deserve to earn our own money. Our geniuses are valuable. We can nurture as well as be the forefront. And one of the things I love sharing is and I'm not the one that originated this, and I like to remind us as women that it really is true. You cannot fill others from an empty cup. It really is that airline, put your mask on before you put it on anywhere else. And we kind of shake our head, but we don't really understand it, and we don't really feel it in every essence of our body. And that's what I want to support women to understand, is that you can be first. You can have self-love. You can have self-expression. You can be worthy and deserving of creating that your independent wealth, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, whether you're an empty nester. I'm almost an empty nester. My youngest just graduated from high school in June, hasn't quite left the nest yet. My oldest one's getting married, and I want to instill, I have two daughters, and I want to instill these principles into them at 18 and, in their early 20s, and not figure it out, later in life, like I did. So one of the shifts that I've personally made is what you talked about in our in my intro is I went through a divorce 5 years ago, which was extremely empowering for me. It absolutely had nothing to do with the pandemic. Last year, I was diagnosed and overcame stage 2 breast cancer because I put myself first. And I took my business that was already thriving to the next level. And I did that with the principles that I just shared, is understanding my self-worth, my deservingness of it. And I'm here to share that with everyone else. So that was a great question. So Kami, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Jenn. Yeah, I love that. And I love that well, first of all, I'm so glad you overcame all the things you've gone through in this past year. And it's like that breakthrough that happens when we own who we are, that gift of who we are changes everything, right? I mean, it's like it opens up the door. It's expansiveness that happens when we own that light. So thank you for that. Okay, how about you, Michelle?
Well, good morning or afternoon, everybody. And I love what Jenn said as well. So it's really interesting. I came from the corporate world. I was in the Army for 24 years, consulting for 10. And I lived most of my life trying to be who I was expected to be, what everybody else wanted me to be, starting with my dad, and doing what was right, but wasn't right for me. And so I think, first of all, what my business partner and bestie, Jessica, and I are seeing in women is that women now are wanting to be seen. They're wanting to be heard, and they're wanting to take the mask off, to be themselves, to be accepted, and to belong for who they are and what they have to contribute from their authentic selves. And so authenticity is really something that we're seeing in how women are shifting, and also then what we're incorporating, if you will, or how we're supporting women in business. One of the other shifts that we're seeing that goes along with that, with the authenticity, is that people are really, women, because we work with women, and this is what we're here doing today, women are beginning to really ask the question, what would I love? What would I love? Because we haven't put ourselves first before, right? Jenn was talking a little bit about that. And so women are becoming purpose-driven. They're following their passions and doing what makes them come alive versus what they think they'll make more money at. And when we're in alignment with who we are and coming from the place of what's calling forth from ourselves, that unique gift, then the money will absolutely follow. One of the other things that we're seeing is, for so long, women, and I think in our culture, and whether we were, this is part of the Facebook platform as well. We see people on Facebook. We see J-Lo, who's 50 something and has the body of a 21-year-old. And then we feel like as women that we have to match up to that. And we've been comparing ourselves for decades, for centuries, for lifetimes. And we're starting to see that women are shifting from that comparison to a collaboration.
I love
And
that.
yeah, I mean, look at, all of us panelists here have so many similarities, and looking at the chats, there's so many coaches on here, and yet there's no comparison because nobody's going to hear Jenn's message, right? Emily's message, your message, Kami, from me. And just like they won't hear my message from you, so there's no comparison. We can all flourish and be ourselves and support each other. And lastly, I think that one of the biggest shifts that we're seeing, and that Jessica and I've seen in our business, even over the last few years, is that we are incorporating well-being as a part of the success picture. Versus, remember the old songs, I bring home the bacon, and doing it all, like I'm the businesswoman, the breadwinner, the mother, the wife. And so really giving ourselves permission and scheduling time off and scheduling things that we love to do, both in business and at home. And one more thing that just came to me as well, that I think is so pertinent to what we're doing here and what you're creating, Kami, with your Ignite, is that women are beginning and finally beginning to invest in coaching and in mentorship, that we're asking for support, that we're following women who are doing what we want to do and role modeling after them.
Yeah, I definitely see that happening. And it's when we invest in ourselves, that shifts everything. And your note, your comment on comparison, we're shifting from comparison to collaboration. Love that so much. That's a mic drop one. Love it. Astrid called it a golden nugget, and said, absolutely, I agree. Neeli, how about you?
Well, much like Michelle, I think one of the biggest shifts I'm seeing is that women aren't just building businesses, they're building ecosystems, right? That are rooted in life integration instead of just compartmentalization, and also listening to our feminine intuition. I speak primarily to corporate audiences, and I often notice there's a difference in culture when the company is led by a woman. And it used to be that women led like men, but in pencil skirts, right? They did the same thing. They acted the same way. But now women-owned businesses are growing much faster. 40%, I think, is what I said. They're shaping industries, and they're not just participants anymore. We have a natural tendency towards innovation and adaptability, which couldn't be more valuable than it is right now. So if you pair that with opportunities that are available because of the digital economy, because of our ability to have sustainable, flexible work schedules, we can pull our ethics into it, and we can have purpose without sacrificing the parts of our lives that are really important to us. So when I look at my own journey through all of this, I think my love of neuroscience has given me a unique perspective, because one of the first things I realized is that there's a huge disconnect between what we know about what the brain does and how we apply that information in our daily lives. Because for generations, society has been telling us that we need to push, and that pushing through means progress. But neuroscience says our brain really thrives when we respect its natural energy and its rhythms. And this was really hard for me to accept and apply in my own life, because I was a perfectionist overachiever for a really long time. And I was treating myself like a robot, like I was a machine, where I could separate that analytical part of my brain from the intuitive part, where that prefrontal cortex, the thinking part, was my queen bee. And if it didn't have quantification to it, I didn't really trust it as true. And because we get this message that that's a feminine weakness, but it's not. Your brain is a powerful pattern recognition system. So I've learned to trust that intuition as brain power. And I think more and more and more women are shifting into that idea that intuition really is brain power. So that shift is really, really important. Knowing that your feminine wisdom is not the opposite of cognitive performance, it is cognitive performance by integrating all of that. So as entrepreneurs or in business or in corporate, we just have to learn to trust that intuition and integrate it into systems that work for us. And basically it's causing us to flip everything on its head and put ourselves first, like we talked about. Both Michelle and Jenn touched on that. So I'm really excited to see what's next, because I think we have those natural characteristics that are really going to be powerful in today's world.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love that.
That's something I'm looking forward to.
I love it, Neeli. And I think this is why I talk about women's wisdom's the medicine our earth needs, because it's what shifts, right? It's because we're leading through and in a different way. And I love hearing the stats that you shared that women-led companies are actually performing better because we're leading through a different way. And I think that's the beauty of this. So I love it so much. Thank you for that. How about you, Emily?
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving hearing all these responses, and I just keep getting like, that's it, and like resonant yeses. And I think a big piece that kind of speaks to, especially when Neeli said the ecosystem that I really see in regards to women's leadership and women, the way women do business, is it's not necessarily always like this hierarchy kind of model that we've typically seen maybe in our typical corporate structure, or maybe more male oriented. I feel like there's more this horizontal form of leadership or a way of even running the business where we just more naturally see connections, right? We're more naturally not, I think when we're connected to, I loved how you said, Kami, really owning our gift. And that's it. Like, that's the essence. The more and more we're owning our gift of who we are and what our heart's call is, that's what brings us into that feminine energy, right? And I think that like strength that Neeli spoke to, that helps us get out of that comparison mentality and brings us more into, I think, naturally like networking more, building relationships, more collaboration, seeing, oh, I meet someone, oh, you should meet this person, or I can see the connections versus just trying to like, I got to get above, I got to get above, I got to get above. And I think with that, I feel like there's really a shift, and I feel this continually in myself in the way I'm operating my business, to get out of this hustle mentality, or I have to do it all, or, you know, that machine, and really honoring myself, my time, my rhythms. I love that there's neuroscience that backs that up as far as how our brain operates. I think more and more women we're not supposed to be in this like hustle mentality. And I think that actually continues to leave us feeling really scattered and disconnected from what we're wanting to do, what we're wanting to bring forth. And instead, how can we take care of ourselves, put ourselves first, like Jenn spoke to. And, you know, for me, it's even just monotasking more, but checking in with myself. What do I need between things versus, oh, I got to get the next task or this or this. And knowing the more, I think you said the word earlier, Kami, maybe in reflection of what Jenn said, maybe some else of expansiveness, but it brings us into our expansion. And that I do believe is where we can grow and generate more success, and not just success from a revenue standpoint, but I think more and more women are also starting to see how important our health and our well-being is connected to that success. We can't just go, go, go and forget about our body, forget about taking care of ourselves, our relationships, you know, well-being on all levels, that mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. And how can we bring those into how we're operating in our business so it's not so separate and segmented?
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. And I think, so there's a lot of like inner things that we're talking about. It's about, letting our light shine. It's about owning who we are. It's about taking care of our minds and our bodies and all of that. I think this is all important. I want to touch base on when I'm looking at what's shifting and changing. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the business like tactics that's changing and shifting up. And what I see it happening is a lot of the overcomplicated tactics that have been out there, kind of the old school ways of marketing that were like automated and, like just, this machines that people were creating. A lot of that is going away, and a lot more focus on building relationships. And I think that's why, Ignite is beautiful for building relationships, because you are in a room with people. I just got back from a conference last week. I was at the eWomen Network conference in Dallas all last week. And it's like, anytime you're in a room full of people, you just get a whole different energy level that you're walking out of. And you're starting to build real relationships. And when I am looking at building relationships in my marketing practice that I bring into my business, I am looking for building what I call a know, love, and trust ecosystem. So I'm going to hit on the same ecosystem as Neeli was, but it's very much about the ecosystem. There used to be lots of funnels. It's like people looked at funnels and that sort of thing. I've never resonated with funnels. I always have resonated more with the relationship. And when you start building a know, love, and trust ecosystem, you're building a space where people can come in, they can learn about your work. And so as you guys are looking into how you're marketing your business, look for ways that you're tapping into other people's audiences. So it might be stages, it might be guest podcasting, there might be lots of ways that you can do that. And then you've got your community of people that you've already built that already know, love, and trust you. And then there's teachings and trainings you can bring to in the middle of all of that. And so it becomes an ecosystem. New people coming in can go into your teachings and trainings. And then people who already know, love, and trust you could go into your trainings. And they get to experience you in a deeper way. Google will tell us that people are consuming, I think it's like 11 hours of your content before they ever get to the place they want to purchase from you. And there's a lot of noise out there, right? There's a whole lot of noise out there. So how do you stand out? It's the connections that you're building, and then the follow-up and the relationships that you build off of that. So women are craving more depth over hype. There's a lot of hype that's been out there. It's like, get rid of the hype and really feel the depth of the people that are coming into your community. And so they're looking for authentic relationships and not just quick conversions. We've touched base on the reclaiming. Excuse me, I bet I'm overcoming a little bit of a cold. We've already talked about reclaiming the feminine ways of doing business with intuition, collaboration, and joy. One thing is, I'm just going to say is that as the marketplace gets noisier, your wisdom voice, the wisdom that flows from you, your embodied presence, and just how you show up with, what it is that you stand for, that's going to cut through the noise faster than any other fancy, kind of messaging that's out there. It's really the connection that's happening and bringing your wisdom to the forefront. The last thing I'm going to say here is that visibility is really key, right? I'm doubling down on visibility. It's like, how are you showing up? And it's not just showing up, it's how you're showing up. It's embodied in your messaging and amplifying your voice in a way that is really connected deeply to who you are. So there's lots of ways, where the theme of Ignite this year is rooted flame. So when I think about rooted flame, it's about being grounded in who you are. It's like kind of going back to what Jenn talked about. It's like that genius in you, owning that genius in you, but then the brightness of you letting that shine out. And that's a big piece of the message that we're really bringing out of Ignite, is because it's that rooted flame, being grounded in who you are, but shining bright with your light. So those are the things that I looked at there. One last piece there is that buyers are just much more intentional. They're asking, there's because of all of the information that's out there, they're asking, do I trust you? Can you hold me? Do I feel something? Do I connect with you? So, that's a really important part. And so the next part that I want to ask you guys is, when the world gets loud and urgent, how do you stay rooted in your inner wisdom to make bold, clear decisions? And then share your voice with the world. I mean, that part of it. Emily, let's start with you this time around.
Sure. Well, what comes, and I don't think it's too out there for this audience, especially as much as we're talking about embodied presence, but I literally feel the bones of my pelvis. And so like literally last week, I was in a day where everything felt urgent, felt noise, things were coming through. I was in between client sessions and I could feel that revved up energy. I could feel it. And so I took a few moments. I was like, okay, I can take a minute, right, to recalibrate and breathe. And for me, I always come into feeling the bones of my pelvis because that's so tangible for me. I can feel the vibration and I can drop down. And it's like there's this reserve there. That's where I'm like, oh, right, there's my reserve. There's my truth. There's my center. That totally grounds me, that totally slows down that anxious kind of revved up, that kind of pops me up and like gets my breath short. And I get short with people. And from there, then I feel like I can be in action if I need to be visible, if there's something I'm doing, a video or a connection call, I feel way more present and true. Or if it's just, the next client one-on-one, right? I'm more in a way of I get to relate with them and be there and be present. And I keep coming back to the last handful of months, especially, I think one of the most important things, at least in regards to like client transformation, healing, growth, is our presence. And the more I can be present with myself, which is such a gift, the more then I can be with them. But yeah, I literally try to like, what can I do tangibly to just come back into myself? And then that softens me from getting in the urgent and the noise and disconnected from my power and my truth.
It's interesting. That's exactly where I go as well, Emily. I put my hands on my belly and just grounded there. So I totally can.
And there's energy to the bones too. That's like these days, I'm just so curious about it, that, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. How about you, Neeli? Whoops, you're muted. You're muted, Neeli. We can't hear you.
I apologize. I think we need to have lovely practices like that. And it's very similar because I guess when I look at it from a neuroscience perspective, I recognize that we have two opposing systems or states of our nervous system that when life gets overwhelming, and it does, it shifts into that survival state, that sympathetic system that is causing your heart rate to go up, that is causing your mind to react rather than to respond. And there's also truth in the fact that there's an opposing system, and you can return to that because bold clarity and chaos is kind of what we want. And that is a nervous system state. So understanding that and having this tested by fire, I always refer to practices like that. For me, I love the ocean. So I see the tsunami of the stress of whatever those things are coming at me as a challenge that I can observe and I can interact with in a safe way. And I don't necessarily have to get in the water with the sharks.
Yeah.
So using your breath is really, really powerful in shifting from your sympathetic to your parasympathetic system, which is your thinking brain, which is where you really want to be rather than your reactionary system. So taking those deep breaths and using that 90 seconds of that initial feeling where you recognize it to really allow yourself to be on that surfboard, watching and observing, breathing and getting deep into your presence and your balance on that board or in your pelvis is really a lever that allows your nervous system to reset and allows you to handle respond instead of react, without panicking and drowning when it hits.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's a beautiful way, having a pattern that you go to, whether it's stepping outside, whether it's grounding deep, like both of you do, those are things in our toolbox that I love to fill my toolbox with when those moments come, because they are, and they're going to be coming faster, and they're already going faster. So it's something that you can train yourself to do. And I love that
Yeah.
we can trust ourselves to regulate.
Yeah.
And peace.
Yeah. I took a inner MBA last year with Sounds True, which was fantastic. And they talked a lot about it. And one of the questions that actually came in was about VUCA. Let me get it. It's VUCA is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So it's like when we get into those places where we've got that, these are all great practices to really help us ground, right? I mean, I know that was, and I think through just what goes on in our world, how we can get triggered by things. It's being aware of what we can adjust or we can shift. So I love these suggestions so much. Thank you. How about you, Michelle?
Yeah, so I just want to echo what Neeli was saying, that the opportunity when we think about the chaos, and also, what did you call when everything seems urgent? The chaos is in the outside world, but it's also in our inside world, what we're viewing, how we're responding. And so Jessica and I call it like when we're, as we were talking about, in the fight or flight, it's the lizard brain that is just looking to survive. And I too, we breathe, and a simple way of doing this as well is breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth as if through a straw. And when we do this and do it evenly and calmly, literally, it's an opportunity to breathe yourself into this current moment, into the present moment, which also is the presence of Source, Spirit, God, Universe, whatever you want to call it, or her. And when we're in this present moment, then there's nothing from the past and nothing from the future. And the opportunity then is we can come from that place of peace, if you will, and then tap into Source or to our wizard brain or genius brain. We're all talking the same language here. And Jessica and I also couple that with, what would you love? What would you love? There's been times where I have gotten to a place where it's like, oh my God, I got to get more clients, or we got to get more clients for this or whatever, add an evening class or something. And then we just stop and remind ourselves, what would I love? And I would not love to work in the evenings. So I'm not going to schedule anything in the evening, right? And then once we start breathing, it just gives us a space between whatever's poking at us, if you will, the urgency, and our response, so that we can respond and not merely react. And then I think one of the best ways to redirect ourselves when we're in that place of whether it's chaos, whether it's urgency, and I was a critical care nurse. So if it's truly an emergency, then call 911. Everything else can wait. Like, nobody has ever died because I didn't schedule a clarity call or a coach call. And so the opportunity then is in that moment of calmness and centeredness to reconnect with your vision, which is the high vibration. Right? The lizard is down here, panic is down here. And when we're connected to our vision, which is what has been called forth from us, then we're connecting to that higher vibration, and we can make a decision from there. And that's all I'm going to say right now. I think my time's up. Is it?
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. It's like that higher energy if we're tapping into that. Jenn, how about you?
So it's great and hard to be last because
exactly.
I have to echo everything that they just said a million times. Yes. And what I was originally going to say, whether I'd gone first or last, is what the big key for me besides grounding and connecting is gratitude. And I do a fun thing when I'm training, and I have this fun free challenge that I do in my client group. And one of the activities is a gratitude challenge where I actually tell them, let's see if I can got some around. I do, because I have one next to me, is I have them take little sticky notes like this size, and I have them be gratitude for everything in their environment. I have it on my truck. I have a big old truck that I love driving. It says, I'm great. Every time I get in my truck, it says, I'm grateful for my truck. It's in my refrigerator. I'm grateful for my food. I'm grateful for my computer. I'm grateful for my clients. And when you can, that high vibration that everyone is talking about, the fastest way that I have found to get there is in gratitude. So I know Joni had asked, to repeat the question, is when things get loud and urgent, how do you stay rooted in your inner wisdom? It's with gratitude, because I have created everything in my environment, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I created it. And if I can go to the gratitude that, look, I may be having a struggle over here with a client. But I can then instead of focusing on that, which is then lowers our vibration, I say, where can I be grateful for this client? What is this client teaching me? They're a challenge. And so that means it's a reflection of something I need to learn. So then where can I be grateful with this client? And when I can raise the gratitude, then I can find the learnings. And then I come from a place where I can make those clear, bold decisions, because I'm coming from a place of gratitude, which is a higher vibration. Thank you, Michelle. And not from that urgency of did I do something wrong? How many of us women, we start blaming ourselves, shaming ourselves, all of those pieces. So if I can go into gratitude that I have the money, I even teach people, my wealth class, I even teach people to be grateful for their debt, because they call it debt. I don't call it debt. I call it investing in yourself. Mm-hmm. When I was going through my cancer, 90% of what I did wasn't covered by insurance, and I made that choice. So I don't look at it as like I invested in myself. I invested in my future. And when you can have that high vibration, it opens up your clear spaces, and then the universe source delivers to you what you want. So to me, it's everything these ladies said, and adding gratitude on top of it, and literally put sticky notes around so you can see it. Put it on your mirror and say, I'm grateful for me. And I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I love that, Jen, so much. I love leaving sticky notes for yourself all over. And all of these, as we're talking about raising our vibration in a world that feels, a little bit messy. I mean, so we're going to get into the questions now that some of the people sent our way. But before I do, I just wanted to listening, what are some of the things you do? So all of the attendees who are just tuned in here, what are some of the things that you do that helps you raise your vibration, that helps you meet the space, and kind of clear out the noise that's around us and be in that space? So just drop it out into the chat box there. And then we're going to start to move into some of these questions that were submitted beforehand. And Christy Belts is one that sent something in. She talked about VUCA, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And so when we are looking at what's happening in the world, how are you ladies approaching your decision making and your planning in a world that's uncertain right now? And just a quick response from anyone who wants to just throw something in there. So whoever would like to jump in there.
Well, I'll go, and I'll start by saying everything in life is uncertain, really. We have no guarantees in life, except that we're going to die and pay taxes. So the opportunity is, instead of focusing on the uncertainty, what is it in you? What is it in your life? What is it in this moment that you are certain in? And sometimes it may just be that in this moment, I am certain that I am Michelle Fournier, right? Or I am certain that this is what gives me joy. This is what delights my soul. And I love working with women, and then move forward in the uncertainty. What gets us off track is when we're focused on the perceived gap versus the vision, the gain, what we have accomplished. And we just forget. The reason we get to this place of uncertainty is because we forgot when we were little girls, when we were learning how to walk, there was nothing certain about that. But we kept our eye on the goal. We were after that cookie or after that loved one that was standing up. And based on results, I don't think there's a single person on this call that when they were trying to walk and they got up and fell down, that they said, screw it. I wasn't meant to be a walker. I guess I'll stay here on the floor. So start looking, reminding yourselves of the evidence of your brilliance and the evidence of what you've overcome.
Love it so much. Snap.
Yeah. To feed off what Michelle's saying, I think this simple mindset shift where you take uncertainty, which you tend to translate as threat in your mind, and shift that to challenge. Whether it's learning to walk, whatever the case may be, just that simple shift of thinking of it as uncertainty and think of it as challenge instead. It's a goal. It's something that is kind of a fun adventure rather than a threat to you, because uncertainty generally means fearful things.
Yeah. And I'll just add into that, because it from the challenge to the expansiveness of what's possible, right? Exactly. I mean, I think that's the next piece of that. Anyone else have anything else to say on that one?
I'll just to chime in on all of that, especially with, what is certain is the life or death. And I love that the taxes, but I think when I think of that, to not go into like a dark place, but it actually really lights me up, is like, there's so much happening that's out of my control. There's so much that's going to be uncertain that I don't know what will happen. All I know is how I show up each day for myself. And all I know is, what does my heart feel like its purpose is right now in regards to my work and my mission. And that actually really ignites me and makes me feel more of my aliveness in action when I'm creating my plan. I think you were talking about how do we deal with ambiguity when we're planning and setting goals. And when I'm looking at my next quarter, I actually take a moment to connect with that, right? And there's, we all have circumstances in our lives, family members, our own personal health, that really, I think, can remind us that, oh, right, I can't take for granted this life or how many years I might have. And that always brings me into my heart and that knowingness, right? That inner knowingness. It shifts it from I love that. Yeah. Changing the word from uncertainty to, I'm sorry, I forget what you said, Neeli, but
yeah.
Thank you. How you shifted that. And for me, I have to feel it in my body and make that shift there and come into that knowingness. And I come into my knowingness when I come into my heart. And that then can drive me into action from that aliveness and like fuel, right? It's like, oh, wow, I feel really passionate about this. And yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Emily. This next question comes from Teresa, and it's around how has selling shifted and changed? And so, Jenn, I would love to toss this to you to kick us off on this. How have you seen selling and inviting people into your business has changed?
Thank you for kicking that over here. I love that question because, first of all, ladies, sales is not a bad word. So that would be the first thing that I would love to help you all do. That is, as we're entrepreneurs on this line. And honestly, even if we're not, we got to sell our kids into going to school, and we got to sell our significant others or our friends where we're going to go eat a dinner. But sales is not a bad word. So that's the first thing that I want to share with everyone. The second thing that I've noticed very much, and this is what I build my business on, so I'm glad I'm answering this question, is that there used to be only two types of sales. Actually, probably there was only one type of sales for a really long time, which was the hard sale, right? We've combed that cliche, the used car salesman. Like you're just like, oh, they're hard selling. And then I learned in my 20 plus years of being an entrepreneur that we had to start learning how to overcome objections, and we had to get into overcome buyer's remorse. I don't find buyer's remorse anymore. if you do the new sales, the way that sales should become, which is what everything we're talking about. So then it kind of went to that compassionate sales. So we overcorrected. We swung the pendulum. We went from hard sales to what I call my version of compassionate sales, which is just like, no worries. When you're ready, you just let me know. Yeah, no. Because what's happening is when they're ready, you're probably not there. And so then they go buy somewhere else when you know that you could have helped them. So we went from the hard sale, which is buyer's remorse, to compassionate sales, which is not actually holding space and helping someone, to what we lovingly call here at Genius Unlocked is coaching to the sale. And this is where I am extremely excited. We don't have in our 7 years of this business that I've been in, we have experienced maybe 2 quote buyer's remorse, multi 7 figures, and 2 people have said, maybe I didn't make the right thing. And it's because when you can change to add coaching to the sale, which is you're enrolling them into their vision and they're making the decision. They're saying, you want to get a hell yes or a hell no. And you want to be excited about whatever one you get, because you know you held space. You held space for them to come to the decision that they want what you have to offer. And it's not you convincing them. It's you saying, hey, what is your vision? How long have you wanted it? What do you think your objection is? Which is typically, why I don't have time. Well, I certainly didn't have time to get cancer, and I sure as hell figured out how to get rid of it real quick. So time is an illusion. They have a relationship. Oh, I got to talk to my spouse or my kids, or they feel like they have a money block. When in reality, we all know this, and I'm hoping these ladies will also agree with me, is it's really a mindset. Because if you had the certainty that if you believed in yourself, you could have what you wanted, then it's really just what mindset do we need to shift? And then people don't look, they get blinded, or their head is in the sand of what happens if they don't change. We all know this. Well, how many things do we want to change that we don't change? And then if you can show them the possibility of what it looks like if it can change, and then you're an honest, ethical human, knowing that, hearing all of that from them, that you actually have a solution for them, a help of them, whether it's to help them buy a car, a house, a coach, change their lives, get in a relationship, buy a bag of chips, I don't care. But if you know that what you have supports them, then you can honestly say, if I was able to help you with all of this, would you be able to move forward? And if you can come from that space, from your heart, thank you, Emily, for reminding us to be from our heart. We're not hard selling. We're also not letting them off the hook, because you're not holding space for them. We have a saying here at Genius Locked, like, we're this place where you can release the most vulnerable judgment you have about yourself. And we're a little spicy, and we don't let you argue for your limitations anymore. But we're also not going to force you into something that's not in alignment with you. So that is how I've seen sales change, and how I would like it to continue to change in this world, is to go from that hard sale, used car salesman, to letting everybody off the hook, to letting them come into their hell yes or hell no, I'm not in that space. And I will send you off with love and light either way.
Yeah, I love that so much, Jenn. It's like, again, another good mic drop moment, because it's like that swing that took place that doesn't serve people if you're over here in the softness of it all, that there's no place for them to move from that, where you're actually holding a space for them to make decisions, to own their future, and to step into it, and to help them step into it. So it's service, but it's also it's a stepping stone. So I love it. I love that so much. Okay, here's another question from Mondi. I'm curious to know about how entrepreneurs are applying engaging content, specifically the length and the mode, mostly, text, Facebook messaging, email, long PDFs, short notes, all the sorts of things. So content, it's a big thing. And I'll kick this off a little bit, because I know one of the things that I have, knowing that people are engaging with our content for up to 11 hours before they ever get to a buying decision, we need to have long form content. We've got to have either podcasting or stages or places where people can get to know you, get to feel you, get to be in the energy of you. And then from that, we can have smaller pieces that we engage them in. So what I am what we have done in our business is we've shifted into more long form content. I mean, I've been podcasting for 8 years, so we've got a podcast that, we put out every single week for 8 years. We have a newsletter that we put out every week, and then we take and we pull snippets from that and we go deeper. So that's one thing, as you're looking at content in this day and age, find ways that people can get to know who you are. So that's one thing I'll throw out there. Anybody else have anything else you want to add to that?
I'll add, really, you are the content. I am the content. And I think what gets, I'll just speak for me, what's gotten me sideways in the past is when I'm trying to provide the perfect content. And the perfect content is just me showing up as me. So the opportunity is simply to provide snippets, if you will, to your potential clients, to your audience, of the deliciousness of who you are, your personality, and let go of it having to look a certain way. And one of the ways that we do it is sometimes doing some little videos or free webinars, or as everybody's mentioned here, something that's going to help you get to know, and connect. Ultimately, that's what everything is about connection. Does somebody feel seen, feel heard, feel connected when you're speaking, when you're providing something, whether it's on Facebook? And just to nurture your audience. Everything doesn't have to be a call to action or a call to purchase.
Yeah, I love it so much. Okay, I'm going to do one more quick question because I love this question so much. I know there's a few more other questions that we haven't gotten to, but I will get back to you guys specifically on your questions that we aren't going to get to. This one's from Danielle, and I love this because she says, I have heard that Colorado is one of the highest rates of women starting their businesses. Is there a reason for that? And are they more supported, have more capital to start with, et cetera, et cetera? I will say Colorado is a hotbed for women entrepreneurs. And the reason that is because there's several communities in Colorado that are supporting women entrepreneurs that are amazing. And that those communities collaborate together. There is Boulder has a really amazing startup culture, if you will. So there's a lot of reasons why that Colorado is known for that. And so Ignite is a great place to come be in community with women in Colorado. So it's a great place to come join us. So Colorado's expensive too could also be that women are starting businesses to support their expenses. Perhaps, Amanda. I mean, I think that's an interesting thought. It's I think that we're being called. I think a lot of us are being called all day long. When I think about what drives me, what drives a lot of these women here is that we are being called and we have work that we're meant to do. Okay, so just in honor of your guys' time, I want to roll to our last question with everyone here. And so what the question here is how are you being called to use your voice for impact right now? And how are you embodying that message and the legacy you're building and the way you lead? And then also let us know where people can connect with you. Jenn, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. Can you just repeat the first part of the question? I think I broke up a little bit on my side.
Yeah. How are you being called to use your voice for impact right now? And how are you embodying that messaging and into your legacy?
Great. Thank you. Thank you for repeating the question. It's very timely for me. What I have shifted is I've been a business coach and a mindset coach and a transformational coach for a very long time. And I had always not put my health first. And so what I've been called to do recently over the last year is when I got my diagnosis last year, I became even more aware. I teach this stuff. I teach the mind, body, spirit connection. I know my body. I knew my body could heal myself. I knew all of those things, but I put myself last. This is why another reason I opened up with my first answer. And so what I'm doing now with my voice is really supporting women. I just did a health in-person class 2 weeks ago here at the Oasis, and making that connection between that mind and body and putting my health first, because this is our only body. I have spent so much time nurturing others. I'm tying it right back to what I said at the very beginning. So putting myself first. So I'm really connecting more, using my voice to not only add the health component back into I'm the healthiest I've been in my at 52 than I was the first 51 years of my life. All combined. I have switched everything. Even, you know, down to my mitochondria in my cells, not just my weight or my skin. It's literally a whole new being that I've become. And so that's what's been calling me to connect that. And then I do, you know, talk on wealth a lot. And so it's that health wealth matrix that I'm creating. So that's how I'm being called for the next 50 years of my life. I will be touting more of that. And so that's really important to me. And not, we don't have to sacrifice ourselves and our health. And I'm talking more than just like working out and eating right, which I get that. We've all heard that 9 million times. I'm talking about to the cellular level. We are, I think it was Michelle who said that, you know, women, we're business owners differently. We actually, or maybe it was even Neeli when she talked about in corporate America, because I came from corporate America, is women business owners, we deserve to our businesses ebb and flow with on purpose. We don't ebb and flow as an accident. Like, it's on purpose. Our energy ebbs and flows, where the cycles ebb and flow. And to really lean into that has supported me in my health. And so that's what I'm being called to do with my voice right now. I'm speaking again. I'll be speaking with you all on that, more on the wealth side of things. And because that was a very telling question. That's really where we're pushing right now.
Yeah, I love it so much. And where can people follow you and connect with you?
I'm going to give you how you can connect with me. You're going to text, I'm going to put it in the chat. You're going to text Jenn, 2 N's, to 26786. You will get all of my information. This is going back to what's the marketing question that was answered. People are inundated with emails. Text messaging right now is, again, they have to be voluntarily being texted. Please, no spamming. We have a 98% open rate when we're sharing our free content, not every sale that we make, on the text. So I encourage anyone, and that if you're looking out of America, out of the States, don't have a US number, you can reach me on LinkedIn, Jenn Beninger. My name's under my thing here, and Genius Unlocked on any of the other socials. I just think it's really fun to add the Jenn at 26786. You'll see how that works. And that works on the marketing side as well. So thanks, Kami. And I'm very excited to meet all of you ladies, these fabulous presenters that I can't wait to connect with you more in Colorado, where I'll be traveling from California to visit all of you all.
I can't wait. I can't wait. How about you, Emily?
I think how I am being called to use my voice for impact right now, a huge thing that comes is really owning my expertise and not shying away from it because I might be feeling I'm too much or how I'm coming across, and owning that and landing that in myself and using that to, like, as I'm in relationship with women, as I'm connecting with women, of not shying away, especially my work is all around really supporting women and learning how to love their body so they can take back their life. And it's a sensitive topic, right? When we're talking about body shame, when we're feeling that shrinking invisibility. And I've tended to be more on that, soft side, especially depending on, context. And I'm not doing that anymore. I'm being appropriate and loving, but like, I want women to know they don't have to live in like body dysmorphia or whatever it is for years. It's like, we can learn how to love this vehicle vessel right now, and then use all the energy and life force that's going into all the mental preoccupation of how it's wrong or diet or blah, blah, blah towards our purpose. And so I'm just letting myself shine in my energy field more and more, and not be afraid to let someone know when I know that I can support them and help them and move them forward.
Let that light shine. I love it. And where can they connect with you, Emily?
Yeah, so my website's emilywishall.com. Wishall, like the compound word, like we wish all a Merry Christmas. So it's a great spot. I'm active on Instagram as well.
Excellent.
Under
cool. And Neeli, how about you?
To be on the stage with everyone at Women Ignite. This has been great, Kami. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Emily.
First of all, if you'd like to connect, I do have a weekly newsletter you can get directly into your inbox or through LinkedIn and so on. I'm going to put
They're
in
good
chat.
newsletters. They're good newsletters to read. I read them.
It has lots of tips and the little tricks that you can put in your toolbox. But primarily right now, I'm really being called to bring the framework I've developed that is based, it's science-backed, of the 8 elements that are really, really crucial for brain health, which is also crucial for heart health, which is crucial for every other kind of health. It's a very holistic approach based on an acronym, and it really helps with mental bandwidth issue that we're having right now, where a lot of people are struggling with broken brain syndrome. It just feels like the brain fog, and there's just a lot going on right now. And most of this has been reserved for the private clients, but I'm bringing a public version to it. And so I really invite you to say yes to being a regenerative thought leader. No matter what you're doing in your business, in your life, we need regenerative systems that support and scaffold how we operate in the world and bring joy back in, where we really enjoy and thrive and are just excited to wake up and get out of bed in the morning and see what's in front of us. And I've used this framework myself. It's been tested by fire after fire, and it really does work. So please connect with me however you prefer through the link tree. There's all the links there, website, LinkedIn, so on. But I would encourage you to the one brain positive thing you can do this week. And if you need ideas,
Oops, you just
feel
cut
free
out
to
there,
look
Neeli.
at the blog I got.
You cut out in that last statement.
I just, oh dear.
Okay.
My Starlink is a little unstable right now, apparently. It is also
Okay.
experiencing VUCA. So,
Okay, there you go. Well, thank you,
yeah,
Neeli.
just connect with me and, just call as well. And I would love to have a chat.
Cool. Thank you, Neeli. How about you, Michelle?
So my voice is, I am being called to support women in reminding them and reclaiming the truth of who they are. And that there's nothing broken, nothing missing, nothing to be added, nothing to be taken away. And for them to, it comes back to the message of what would I love? What would I love? And if it were possible, right, just to let go of the how and to connect with that and to stop looking outside, excuse me, stop looking outside of themselves for validation and seeking permission to simply be who they are, and to be able to provide a community for that and a safe space for women to be able to do that. And I have dropped my website in the chat. Please feel free to reach out. And of course, being the ultimate possibilitarian, at the very top of the website, there's a link where you can schedule a possibility call. And I would love to be able to pour into you.
Excellent. Thank you, Michelle. So for me, when I think about what my voice is being called to do right now, it is about raising up women's voices. It's about helping women grow businesses that are full of time prosperity and wealth prosperity, businesses that you love, and doing it in a way that's simplifying your marketing, simplifying how you're showing up, and really building relationships with the people in your communities. So that's what we do at Extraordinary Women Ignite. And it is November 6th through 8th in Colorado. Come join us. We're going to have all these amazing women plus more women joining us in the room at Ignite. It's my 11th year of hosting this event. You will walk away with not only new connections and wonderful women in your community, you're going to walk away with your plan for 2026. You're going to have space to listen to your heart center and listen to what wants to flow from you. You're going to listen to what your voice is being called into right now in this time to change the world, because your voice matters. Your voice really matters right now. whatever your calling is, it's you have that calling to lead change in this time right now. And that's what we really deliver on Ignite is to help you take your voice out in bigger ways into the new year and walk in a bigger, brighter light. It is all again about that rooted flame. And I am excited to have all of these amazing women in the room. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. Thank you to the panelists who joined me and the speakers who are going to be at Ignite. And we hope we will see you all there. Bye. I see some of the great names already I know are in the room. So we'll see you guys soon. Bye.